Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Welcome to our City of Dana Point Community Visioning Workshop. My name is Belinda Dynas, and I'm so glad you're all here. It feels like a party, a pizza party, and I was thinking, how do I get all these people to come on a Wednesday night to talk about the future of Dana Point? And so I'm so glad that we have a packed room here tonight. Tonight is about celebrating the city, having casual conversations with our community, with our neighbors, coming together to create a vision for the future. So our goal tonight is to write all of your thoughts down, take notes, and really capture all of your input. And I want you to know that the city really does value your feedback throughout this process. So tonight we want to so this is a workshop. I just wanted to lay some ground guidelines for tonight. I just wanted to emphasize that, this is a safe space for ideas, and we want you to be creative about the future of the city, and that, we want you to listen to each other and take this opportunity to really understand, why do we love Dana Point, and where do we want to go from here. So, as a reminder, just please be respectful for everyone's ideas. We want to, have this truly as a safe space. Also, to remember to stay on topic, and I promise that we have a pretty tight agenda tonight, and we'll be out of here at 8 sharp. But if you want to hang out and eat more pizza, you're more than welcome to that too. And so we want everyone to participate in some way. So we hope that we have enough activities here tonight to make that possible for you. And so before I turn it over, I'd like to thank all of our city staff that's here tonight. We have Brenda Wisniewski, Director of Community Development, and we have Alyssa Gonzalez, who's here tonight as well. And all of our consultant team from RRM Design Group. Diane will introduce all of them. I also wanted to thank the Women's Club for the venue and for Flippin' Pizza for dinner. With that, I'd like to introduce you to Diane Bathgate with RRM Design Group. She is our consultant, and she will provide a presentation for a general plan update. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Belinda. We are so excited to be here. I'm Diane Bathgate. I'm a principal with RRM Design Group. We are a multidiscipline design firm, been in business about 50 years. And actually, I grew up in the area in Dana Point, went to the baby beach before there was a harbor. So that makes me that can give you a gauge of how old I am. Hopefully don't do the math, but really enjoy Dana Point. So it's a labor of love, actually, to be involved with this project. We have a few folks from the RM Design team here tonight. We have Matt Otteson, Senior Planner in the back, Brian Hannigan, Principal Planner, and then Brian Hannigan, Manager of Landscape Architecture, really well-versed in active transportation and conservation efforts. And Elizabeth Ocampo Vivero, Principal Planner, who's also Assistant Project Manager on this project. So we have the A team here tonight to hear your thoughts, and we really want to keep it kind of long-term. We'll talk about what the general plan is. If you want to go ahead to the agenda, Elizabeth. We had our check-in already. Hope you will sign in at the back table and sign up for any updates and upcoming events. We'll have a presentation, first of all, what is the general plan, and why is the city interested in updating it? This is the first phase of 2 phases where you're on the ground floor. No decisions have been made, so it's a perfect time to start getting involved and help visioning for the next 20 to 30 years. We'll have some visioning questions after the presentation over here on this wall as a group, and then we will break out into 5 groups, and we'll rotate through each of the 5 stations that have different topics that relate to the general plan. And this is outlined in the program that you have on that you were given when you came in. And then once all of everyone's rotated through each of the stations, there'll be a report back to the group of what we've heard, and then there'll be a bit of prioritization. There'll also be a tell us what you love about Dana Point. Some of the equipment that you see for the videoing will be moved, and we will have an opportunity for you to say what you love about Dana Point, and we'll memorialize it with a picture and add it to the growing documentation of what we hear. First of all, you may ask, what is a general plan? It is a policy document. It's a citizen-based long-term vision for the city. Usually general plans look at about a 20 to 30-year horizon, but it does also address more immediate timelines as well and immediate issues. It's a policy document that's implemented over time. Some folks call it a blueprint for future development decisions, but it's really a guideline for development decisions, for capital improvement decisions, and it's really tailored to each community. Each community in California, whether it's a county or a city, is required to have a general plan. You might wonder also, why is an update needed? And the current general plan, which I have here, you can see it's a little dated. There's also a copy on the back table, but it was first adopted in 1991, and two elements have been more currently adopted, but it's ripe for reimagining and really capturing the current values of the community. There are also many new state requirements that have come into effect over the last 10 to 20 years. And it's also good to know it's a document that is structured under state law. State law mandates that cities or counties have a general plan, and it also specifies some of the mandatory components within the general plan. So the city needs to update the general plan within that framework, but then there's also some latitude to include optional topics. So tonight, if you have something that might not fit in with the categories that we've provided, we want to hear that too. Again, this is a two-phased process. We're in the visioning stage right now, and it'll continue through summertime. And then we'll gather all this information and we'll report back in a document as well as a presentation on what we've heard, and that'll lay the foundation for actually plan development, which will likely occur in 2024. So it's the first phase of the effort, and next year is when the plan development will actually take place based on the input that we collect along the way this year. So already there are quite a few ways to get involved. We have a project website, plandanapoint.com, and I don't know if some of you folks have already checked it out, but it's a great resource where it'll show what events are coming up. It'll also provide some background information on what are the state law requirements, what does the existing plan look like, what's in there now, what can we improve. We have an interactive map where you can place comments, like if you want to talk about habitat in a certain area, or this, the priority for beach access in this area, or geographically specific things, or maybe neighborhoods that you see transitioning over time or need to be protected. There's also a questionnaire. It takes about maybe 5-10 minutes. It takes 7, we timed it. So we want to hear your thoughts, and hopefully it won't take up too much of your time, but it's a great way to capture what you're thinking. So just as an introduction, we prepared a video, so we wanted to play that for you, and then we have a few more slides to cover.
Have you ever wondered what the Dana Point General Plan is? Probably not, but I'm here to tell you why we need you to help plan Dana Point. We're on a mission to ask you, our Dana Point community, how do you see our city in the next 10, 20, even 30 years? It's been over 3 decades since the Dana Point General Plan was originally adopted, and it's about time we take a deep dive into rewriting this plan for the 21st century. In this video, first we'll explain what the General Plan is. Then we'll explain how the plan affects you. Last and most importantly, how you can get involved today. It's visioning time. Let's chart our future together to plan Dana Point.
But what is the General Plan?
The Dana Point General Plan is the blueprint for the city's future development. It is a collection of goals, policies, and actions that reflect the community's vision and values. The General Plan is required by state law to cover how and where our spaces evolve over time, how we build, maintain, and afford our homes, how we get around town by car, bike, walk, and transit, preserving nature and open space, controlling noise impacts, and preparing for hazards and emergencies. Dana Point also prioritizes ensuring high-quality design, enhancing our local business economy, and expanding public services as the city thrives. These are all elements of our current Dana Point General Plan, and most of the plan is from the 90s. In 2022, the City Council updated the housing element and public safety element, and now it's time to update the rest with your help.
Okay, interesting. But how does the general plan affect me?
The general plan sets a broad vision with the framework that guides how city officials make decisions on projects for our streets, parks and beaches, shopping areas, neighborhoods, and more, all of which affect your quality of life here in Dana Point. Your feedback will give us direction on what Dana Point might look like in the future, which helps put policies, procedures, and priorities in place to help make our community's collective vision become reality now and for the next generation. We want to hear your voice and have you actively involved in how Dana Point develops over time.
That sounds great. How should we get involved?
2023 is dedicated to visioning for the future. This year, we're engaging our community and offering a variety of ways to get involved. Starting with our brand new website, plandanapoint.com, the city will be posting information, milestones, and events all in one easy to remember spot. Check out our interactive online questionnaire and mapping tool where people can share their visioning ideas. The tool will be available from February until May. We will be coming to you at pop-up events around town, from Festival of Wales to Redo Market. Spot our Dana Point dot and let's talk about the city's future. There will be focus group meetings, community workshops, and study sessions all year long. Follow City of Dana Point on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for ongoing updates.
Oh, that sounds really cool. So where can I find dates on these upcoming events?
So what is the timeline for this visioning phase?
And how do I send my thoughts about the general plan update?
For answers to these questions and more, be sure to check out our website, plandanapoint.com. Link is in the description below. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for all things City of Dana Point. We need you
To help plan Dana Point.
That was a fun video to make, and we hope it really gets folks excited about this next chapter of Dana Point. You know, what we can do better, and what policies do we want to have shape the future. So there are a couple of coming soon other events just to keep on your calendar. These will also be posted on the website. There's a farmers market that will be attending the State of the City on April 26th. The Redo Market on Del Prado on April 30th. And also there'll be a community workshop. It'll be in the summer. And if you sign up, we'll send you a notification of when that workshop occurs. But what we intend to do at that workshop is really to report back after we've synthesized all the information from the questionnaire, from the online map, from the workshop tonight, and some of the pop-up events in the community. We want to go where folks hang out. So that's the purpose of the next workshop, which I hope you'll be able to attend as well. So the next few slides are actually on what is the general plan. We're just going to go briefly element by element, and that's also how the stations are organized tonight, just to have a framework for capturing comments by topics that the current general plan is divided into. But again, if you have other topics and issues and goals and visions that you want to share with us, we want to hear that too. So the first element I wanted to touch on is the land use element. And it's, again, a broad document, but it's goals and policies regarding land use for long-term growth and development and revitalization of the city. It's the location, density, and intensity of uses. Overall, it aims to have a balance of land uses that are complementary and also has some specific guidance for different areas of town, including the Headlands, Town Center, Doheny Village, and Monarch Beach. Because it's not just one homogeneous city. They're there's different character and different priorities in different parts of town. The urban design element is another element that we have a station at tonight. And urban design, it's hard to say in just a few words, but it's essentially what proposals and policies can improve the image and character and quality of life in Dana Point. It can be a natural setting. It can be public improvements. It helps direct what is the physical form and character of new private development as well. Oftentimes, like streetscapes and planning come into play under the urban design element. And again, there's some direction in different parts of town because there are different characteristics that make up the neighborhoods in different parts of Dana Point. The next element is a circulation element, and its purpose is to provide safe, sensible, and efficient circulation system for the city. It provides a hierarchy of transportation routes and also looks at just multiple modes, whether it's automobiles, bicycles, pedestrian, transit. It looks at all those modes and how those can be planned for and make sure that they are in place and transition over time as different modes change. Also, currently, the city uses a delay metric and level of service, and that's one area that the state says you have to go toward a different methodology. So there's some change there that's just to comply with state law, but it's also an opportunity to say where maybe more bike trails need to be or where pedestrian areas might be emphasized more. Next, there's the noise element, and that aims to achieve and maintain environmental noise levels compatible with land uses, stationary land uses primarily. It identifies noise-sensitive land uses and noise sources, such as residential uses, medical uses, things like that, and schools are considered sensitive noise uses. And there's a certain methodology that is employed for that too. It's kind of a technical element, but there's a lot of community values that go into that as well. Conservation and open space addresses the preservation and use of the city's natural resources and open spaces. Contains policies for preservation and utilization of Dana Point's natural resources. It also looks at future and existing parkland as part of that element. It's an important one for consideration. Public facilities and growth management is yet another element, another category in the general plan, and it ensures future growth is coordinated with the provision of public services and facilities so that desirable levels of service standards and community qualities important to folks in town are maintained. It's really marrying what are the uses with what is the infrastructure that's needed to support those uses and making sure there's adequate service. And it's not only for physical improvements like sewer and water, but also it's for services such as police services, fire services that also contribute to the quality of life in Dana Point. The economic development element is an optional element. It's not a required element under the state of California, and the city of Dana Point was forward-thinking in order to include it in the general plan. And it really promotes a balanced development of residential serving and visitor serving commercial uses to ensure sound fiscal health, diverse employment opportunities, and a vital local economy. So it's really to actively involve the business community and to capitalize on market opportunities as they may change over time. The housing element, you may have heard a lot about the housing element since it was just updated and adopted in 2022. And it's been certified by the state of California, the Housing Community Development Department. It's a required element that needs to be updated once every 8 years. And it identifies quite a few strategies for the city to provide a range of housing opportunities for existing and future residents. Next slide. Safety element was also one of the two elements that was more recently updated in 2022. And it addresses features that represent a potential danger to the safety of the citizens of Dana Point. Sites and structures, public facilities, and infrastructure are all part of it. For example, coastal and bluff top erosion would be addressed in that element. It establishes goals and policies to minimize danger to residents, workers, and visitors, and identifies actions to deal with crisis situations such as earthquakes, fire, and flood, an important element. And quite a bit of what's in the safety element is also that the interjurisdictional coordination is essential, like with Orange County Fire Authority, with other agencies that, collectively address these issues. So that's just a super brief overview of the different topics, and we'll have more information at each station if you have more questions about it. But we just really wanted to give you a flavor of the types of things that the general plan addresses to get your kind of into the mindset of the structure of the document and how we can be forward-thinking in all of these areas. So what's next? We're going to have our first just general exercise as a group. And Liz, would you help me scribe too? Here's a pen. So our first couple of questions as a warm-up, and we have, if you can just raise your hand, or just raise your hand if you have a comment, or certainly if you have a question.
I'm Paulo Baker, and I live on Crystal Lantern. And one of the things said we want to keep the character of being a point, but then we have all these large Irvine-looking buildings all the way through downtown, which kind of loses the whole character of being a beach coastal community, which is more of an Irvine community. So where are we going with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. This is more forward-looking, so if you want to have comments that, manage growth or, have a say in future development, and have, what should the character of downtown be? I think we can collect all of those comments tonight. It's not about a specific development or any specific project. It's like just looking up, like what's going right, what do we need to redirect, what some neighborhoods are going to remain stable and no change is going to happen, and maybe there are some areas that are going to would be good candidates for change, maybe not, and what would that look like? I mean, that's the kind of thing that we'd love to hear from you. If that's something that's not going the right direction, we can share those thoughts tonight. And there's a station on land use and also a station on urban design, and that would be a type of comment that would be helpful at those stations. Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Bob Killeen, and I've been a resident since 1982, an original homeowner at Stratford. And I'm here tonight. I wanted to address two items. One is traffic. Who thought we'd be talking about traffic? And primarily Del Obispo and Stonehill. During the early morning rush hour, sometimes it takes up to 3 cycles to get through the light on Stonehill to make egress to the freeway. And my thought was maybe put another left-hand turn so you'd be able to, 2 lanes would be able to turn left to get on the freeway, and or increase the time sequence on the left turn light, because sometimes the traffic is backed up to Marlboro and Golden Springs, which is people trying to get out of that track. It's almost impossible because the traffic is backed up. And my other one, real quickly, is this concerns our neighbors to the north, San Juan Capistrano and the Ganal Lumber Building. The backside that faces the riverbed, they have that gray storage where they'll be storing lumber. Perhaps you can talk to the city leaders before they sign off on that project to maybe put in some boxed trees back there, maybe to disguise that ugly storage building. I know I've been down there, and I don't think there's room to plant anything, but I was thinking that maybe some box trees might make it look a little bit better at least.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And yeah, I think for right now, we'll have the opportunity to have comments that are related to specific topics, and we can have more detailed conversations in smaller groups. So now it's just like, if you have a question on something more general, and then I think these are all good comments, and we want to make sure to capture them and scribe them on these different topical banners to make sure we can address them and they're documented as part of this meeting. Yes, sir.
My name's Chris McGee. I've lived here since 2002. Related to what you just said, and also what you're saying here, what is our identity? I think it's important for us to acknowledge right off the bat, we're a suburb. Okay, what you were talking about is getting out of town to get to work.
Right, suburb.
We are a suburb. We're a coastal suburb. We have resort communities. But we are a suburb. If you look at what our housing structure, who lives here, what they do, it's suburbia. So I don't think lots of other things to be added, but if we deviate off of that, we're not being honest.
Yeah.
So when you talk about getting out of here to get to work, which is I think what he was talking about, or getting out of here, that's big. That's big.
It's a bottleneck to get to the freeway.
So
I travel it too.
Being a great suburb, that's an aspiration.
Yeah, a great suburb. All right, great suburb. I just wanted to give a little briefing on, we have an initial exercise as a group, and then we're going to break out into topical stations, but we can take a few more brief questions because I don't want to hold up the momentum and getting into specific questions. Hold on. I want to read these questions so you can be thinking about them while we answer a few other questions from folks that are here. But the first question is, how would you describe the essence of Dana Point's identity? We'll be asking that question. And then also, what top values should guide the general plan update? And so there's a little bit of overlap, but this is really where these overarching values are really important. We'll be coming up out of this process, having some guiding principles and values that are at the beginning of the general plan to really inform all of the topics that are here. So anyway, I just want to set the stage. We'll be asking these two questions, so get ready with your answers. There's a
Hi, my name is Mona Claus. I'm on Crystal Land. My question is actually about the process of this.
Sure.
It wasn't very clear to me.
Is this the only opportunity for the community to give input this evening, or will there be an ongoing opportunity?
That is an excellent question. And you're on the ground floor. You're on the ground floor. We have just launched the website just within the last month. And this whole process to collect some initial comments from folks goes through summer. And this is just phase one of the general plan update. There'll also be the plan development, which will embark next year in 2024. And there'll be more meetings and opportunities to shape what that looks like. So excellent question. My
follow-up question is, when will the general plan be confirmed?
Will actually be updated. The plan development will be next year.
2024?
2024, right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Jessica Hunter, and I just want to take a minute, first of all, and say hello to my neighbors and say thank you. I promise I won't take the mic from you. It's okay. First of all, again, thank you to my neighbors for showing up, and thank you for putting this forward. There are some things, though, that I'm curious, because sometimes you have to look past to go forward. So where is a one-page document that tells us where we were in 1991, whenever it started, and what are the achievements and what are the missing goals? What's the secondary component to today's communication? Because I look around and my neighbors, I'm so glad to see you all, but we're a community of 33,000 people. Where's the representation and where's the demographics that reflect the city? The third component, and I'll stop after the third one, is where is the parking lot? Where can we put ideas and things that are not covered in these topics today? You know, that's a really simple one. And I'll add on to that, this is a really tough room to do this exercise in. You know, so maybe we could partner with, I don't know, the Marriott, one of the large hotels with ballroom, because there's a vested interest. And to do this, it's going to take some real navigation. So again, it's a work in progress. I commend everybody, but I would really look for the past accomplishments and gaps, how we're going to create that communication plan and outreach. Because I have to tell you, this was really hard to find. I just happened to see it on my news feed. And I thought, you know, I've been here 25 years. I've never seen this. So, and the third thing is, where's a parking lot for tonight? Where can we put that tonight and make
Yeah.
sure that we capture the ideas? There were great ideas around the box trees, the
Yeah.
traffic.
No, it's all, and we welcome that. And I think that.
Again, thank you.
You can share that with us tonight, but we do have the website, which is meant to be an opportunity for folks to place comments there. And today, we have a multi-pronged approach. We're trying with a website, we have a questionnaire, we have an interactive map. We're also going into the community. We have pop-up events. We were at the Festival of the Whales on Saturday and had some interactive exercises and talked to folks. And we have several more coming up. So we've tried to have within reason like quite a few opportunities and going to where people are, because we want to get the word out. And it's just started. So we're hoping to add some momentum and to hear from you tonight. Within the framework that we have, it's not exhaustive, but I think we have a lot of good folks here waiting to hear what you have to say. We have someone in the back here.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Carpenter. I'm a resident here since 1959, so I think I have most of you beat here, living in the community. I have a couple questions, well, not questions, but one, the biggest one will be, will there be a traffic flow study done during the process of this general plan that'll take into account all the building that has been in here, which the previous traffic flow plans have been here, future traffic flow plans, so there's more or less a post-mortem from what's gone in, so we're looking ahead of what's going to be here. And second, I concur with the lady here that just spoke. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not finding out about this. I've passed the word out, but I think there needs to be more publication in the local newspaper, whether radio stations local, whatever everything else, it needs to get out so community can participate a lot more than it is. You've done a great job on the website so far. There's a lot of information there. All you have to do is go on. There's a great questionnaire on there I've already gone through.
Excellent.
The interactive map is good. It's a way to get people involved, but you got to get the word out more than it is.
Mm-hmm. It's just starting, and and Belinda can expand also on some of the channels and in the newspaper and things. But there's always more you can do, and we're really hoping to reach as many folks as we can. So I think that it's an earnest effort. And to answer your question, though, you had a good question about traffic analysis, and that is a requirement of the updated general plan. So there will be a traffic analysis. Not at this point. We're just at the ground floor first phase, but the technical analysis, there'll be an existing conditions evaluation as well as an evaluation of any changes going forward. So it's a pretty exhaustive analysis that will come as part of the second phase of the effort.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Wayne Yost, 49-year resident of Dana Point. And I first moved here because of the small-town beach atmosphere. And I concur with you, and I would challenge anybody who thinks that the structures downtown between PCH and Del Prado are aesthetically pleasing. They are not. And I challenge anybody, I guess nobody's going to disagree with me. So I would like to see any future development incorporate that small-town beach atmosphere.
Small town beach atmosphere. Oh, you got it. Okay.
In addition to that, we have a community that has a plethora of social and recreational activities. We'd like to see that expanded. I've got some very specific thoughts on that, which I'll save for a time when it's appropriate. But just in general, expand the social, cultural, and recreational activities.
Yeah. Good. I think we have a station regarding that.
My last point is that I would like to compliment the city, past and present administrations, on promoting a very welcoming spirit. I think that's what we all love to have. It brings community together. Even from people outside that come to visit, they all seem to feel the essence of that welcoming spirit.
You can feel it. That's true. We'd like to wrap up just any general questions that you have so we can get into the exercises, and we can come back to this after we do the exercise if there are more specific questions. Yeah. Jennifer.
So my general on Lemaine Solanel, my general question is, so I went to a Lisa Bartlett luncheon about a year ago, and she mentioned something about Dana Point leased a certain portion of land for 70 years to China. And I just like,
I don't know.
oh, you don't know that? Oh, because that's what I was like, well.
I don't know, but city
What,
staff
does
may,
this
yeah.
planning include, and is that just the harbor, or was that just a certain section of Dana Point? And then if this plan, if there is a portion going to China, then why are we all talking about trying to change it? Because wouldn't the people who are leasing it get to change it? That's what my question is.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with,
Maybe that was a harbor?
maybe it's part of the harbor. I'm not familiar with a deal with China, so I don't know about that.
Okay, all right.
Any other general questions, and then we'll, yeah. These are all good questions. I really appreciate it.
My name's Barbara Smythe. I moved here in 1967 and grew up here. I'm very concerned about downtown Dana Point. I agree with these gentlemen. I think it's not fitting with the way we want our town to evolve. I've seen the changes here, and my father was a developer here, and he developed Lantern Bay and the shopping center and where I live now, and he donated a lot of land, Heritage Park. So and I think what he did was very much in keeping with the environment of Dana Point. What's happening in downtown is not.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we don't just become a 4-story high-rise apartment town. It's very disturbing to me.
Yeah, good comment, and we made a note, but it's really under like urban design and land use, so we can go into more detail, make sure to capture it in the right spot. But that's, I thank you for that. I think the Smythe family has been a great contributor to Dana Point. I'm familiar. One more question, and then we need to really launch into our exercises. Otherwise, I don't want to keep you guys late here tonight either.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for putting this on. Back to the question, what is the essence, I feel, of Dana Point? And I think it is not just a suburb, but kind of a vacation land. And when we come
Suburb
home,
vacation.
we would like to be home. And I hate to drive to San Clemente to pick up a pair of socks, because I need socks. It's the small businesses that I would like to be able to walk to, possibly on my electric bike if it's a little further away. The accessibility and the reason for being here is also the cultural events that you guys bring in. Sometimes they're a little big, but the Dana Point Symphony is happening this Friday, so you guys try to bring in small things. And just to be able to stay in Dana Point and partake of the diversity that is here and to enjoy it. Thank you.
Well said.
One thing real quick.
All right.
2 seconds.
Okay.
Again, my name is John Ellison, and I'm on the Lander Village Association Board of Directors. I keep track of all this stuff and all the meetings, what's going on. If you want to know what's going on, grab my business card and I'll email you or text you, or we'll send you a flyer or whatever you need to happen. But just let me know, so I'll keep you guys informed of what's going on and the meetings that are coming up as much as I can. Okay? So just let me know.
Yeah, thank you. We also have a sign-in sheet at the back, so if you sign in or sign up on the website, you will get notification as well. So just want to underscore that. You had one question before. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering, my name's Jill Richardson, and I've been here since 2009. I was wondering, again, all the comments about the buildings, how much of a standout can we be for design? How much of a standout for a city to be protecting the environment? Have the buildings be eco-friendly, have more bike lanes, have more means of connection other than just a car. I think that forward thinking and preserving the environment and utilizing the buildings for that effect could really create a sense of really pride that I want to have, because the downtown area right now is ugly. And the buildings, the new buildings that are going in are projected, continue to be just dull, boring buildings. So how much is a focus for design, architecturally, environmentally? That's what I would like to focus on.
Right. Yeah, that would be under the urban design station, and we also took down some comments here. So just a few more beats for folks that want to contribute to how would you describe the essence of Dana Point's identity, and then also the top values? I think we have a good list so far. We'll take a few more folks, and then we'll break into 5 groups. Nautical.
I just thought I would speak for the newcomers. My partner and I arrived here in 2019 from the east, a large eastern city, and during COVID, and we just never went back. You know, it made no sense. And the essence, first thing that happened first day was the friendliness of the people. The general friendliness from the people in the post office, where the city I came from, or behind 6-inch plexiglass, bulletproof glass, and don't talk to you, to the person coming out from behind the desk to help me find an envelope for mailing it. And I'm just so, both of us are very in love with this town. And we came from a city, and this is certainly, and it's got that tourist element, and it has the recreational element, and we couldn't be happier. I am concerned, I guess, as a newcomer, as I've fallen in love with the harbor area, which, coffee importers and what have you, where it's a great hangout for the criminally elderly, and where you can sit all day and, that kind of thing. I am concerned about that type of feeling disappearing. You get to about 30,000 in a size of a town, that starts shifting to a much larger, different situation. Anyway, I wanted to tell you how happy we are to be here and at this kind of an event.
Thank you so much. One more comment, just if it's a general comment or a value, and then we're going to break into 5 groups. Otherwise, I think we're going to be here all night, and I don't want to keep you guys too late. One more comment here, or no? Okay. Well,
I'm concerned that it's very important that we keep a balance of residential with visitor services, so that our residents want to be involved in their community. They want to be a part of it, but I'm concerned that the balance may be at a little point where we need to be very, very concerned that the residents feel that they are part of the community and they want to be involved and volunteer in the community activities.
Nice. All right. Well, now is the fun part. Thank you for all your thoughts and good questions. We're going to break into 5 groups, and you'll have an opportunity to share some of your more specific thoughts. And think big. Like, what is the future look like? I mean, you also have to look at the past, maybe what's working, what's not. But like going into the future, what would be the ideal Dana Point in the future? We want to have that mindset as you go to each station, and things that maybe that should be considered in the update of the general plan. So everyone has a name tag, and that will be your first station that you'll go to, and then we'll rotate. The color, the color on your name tag will be the first station. we're going to summarize what we heard and go around each station. So I got to man the land use and noise station. We had some great comments. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the US. We need to develop a venue, professional venue that will attract international competition. It will be a net income generation for the city. And this overlaps with our recreation conservation element, but you'll find that in a lot of the elements, they'll overlap, and they're kind of intended to in the general plan. All of these things interrelate. We heard that there should be uses for all ages. Parks are important. Encourage neighborhood feelings and involvement. Sometimes that can be through how a neighborhood is designed. Mixed use was offered up as a priority, commercial and residential. It's great when you can shop and walk within a short distance. Also, we heard make sure that there's a compatibility within the mixed use, making sure those different uses are compatible. Open space is important, keeping in mind the compatibility of uses and scale of uses and buildings. Address impacts of new development. Also, there was a comment maybe going toward more ownership than rental, but also some concerns with short-term rentals. But then on the flip side, there was some comments that we need more rentals. No Amazon distribution center, it was a comment. Also, a pedestrian bike bridge across San Juan Creek where Victoria is, a connection between Doheny Village and the rest of Dana Point on the other side. But also, it might not be a bridge, it might be a tunnel, but looking at better interconnectivity across the creek. Dining al fresco has become popular, and make sure to incorporate that into some land use concepts. And then cohesive high-quality aesthetics, and that relates to urban design as well. How can the community have a more cohesive look and high-quality aesthetics? And there's also a comment about updating and upgrading and expanding Dana Hills. Temporary uses such as pop-ups on vacant lots might be a desirable thing to consider under land use. And then we got a few comments under noise. There were some concerns with drag racing on PCH. Maybe more enforcement should be considered. Construction noise, fireworks noise, street and nuisance noise. But we heard a couple of positive comments about that they're usually joyful noises in Dana Point. A lot of times during the day, they're joyful noises, and then in the evening, you can hear, it quiets down. And also, it's nice to hear the seals in the harbor. So those were some of the observations about noise.
I'll start with urban design. We heard a lot of interesting ideas related to the urban design in the city. I'll just go down the list here and hit a couple. We heard don't make Doheny Village look like downtown, keep the funk. Capo Beach streetscape improvements. We heard about some past efforts there. Really want to emphasize those in the future to really make it a destination. Some improvements along PCH to really improve the aesthetic. We heard the railroad has some aesthetic issues. Can we improve how it looks, landscape, screening it, kind of some other ideas. Improvements to enhance bike ped safety. It's kind of a crossover between circulation and urban design here, but definitely warranted. Undergrounding utilities was a hot topic. A lot of people really thought that was a great idea to improve the aesthetics around town, put it underground. Sidewalk improvements, complete the system. It sounds like there's some dead ends around town, kind of some sidewalks to nowhere. So how do we really make sure that those systems are complete? We heard the sidewalks are too narrow. 4 feet doesn't cut it, especially in the downtown commercial areas. Why not 10 feet? So you can walk right next to your loved one or your friend. Really a great idea. Pathways to the beach for all ages. No more palm trees. Diverse tree palette in the city. Consider California natives as an option. Rooftop gardens, self-sustaining ideas, kind of integrated, woven into the built environment. Integrating environmental design into projects. Public art was a big one. How can we get some more art around town? Murals, maybe it's a high school contest. A lot of artists here at the local high school. architectural style for town. This came up a number of times. Originally the town had a focus a little bit more Cape Cod, nautical. Can we bring that back as things change in the future perhaps? More benches, maybe it's a bench program that people could donate benches to loved ones. Let's see, I had to keep going down the list here. I need more room. Stonehill to Garden, Golden Lantern, needs some center median enhancements, and Del Obispo too. Why not really spruce these up and create an entry presence into the city, let people know where they are in the world? Maybe there's some public art integrated as part of those entries. And then lastly, again, the architectural style, building off that nautical, the historic, kind of weaving those things, the Woodruff component, really kind of trying to define what that architectural style is of Dana Point. So again, economic development really focusing on our local businesses. What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? How can we support them here locally? So we heard Capo Beach really needs some love. How can we enhance and support the businesses down there? It's really a hidden gem that could use some additional support. Encourage small businesses, not chains. Heard that a couple times. Really enhancing the diversity of businesses, so the variety of options offered to residents. Fair share of business costs, that businesses operate in the city not at the expense of residences, so that they pay their fair share. That the city continue to improve their processes to support local businesses and make it easier for them to do business here. Program for business involvement in and around the city, so how can we get our businesses involved in nonprofits and other efforts around the city? Some of the challenges, rent, really high. The challenges for businesses. I think that came from a business owner. Promote unique, one-of-a-kind small businesses. Businesses geared towards what we need as residents, especially young families, children as they come into the city. Support Ralph's Del Prado. And lastly, allow outdoor dining for restaurants.
Okay, the happy station number 3 was conservation and open space. Thanks for all your input. There's some overlap, so I'm just going to go over those things first. There was discussion about wider sidewalks and enhancement of pedestrian and bike facilities, the connection to Doheny Village with the bridge across San Juan Creek. I was talking a little bit further about that, further upstream connecting to San Juan, so you'd have a loop on the creek. But some of the highlights were more ball sport activities like bocce ball. We heard pickleball many times in the previous ones and on this one. One idea was a pickleball for bringing like international competition here. We had opportunities for an aquatic center, like a large gathering place for aquatic events. Preserving historic resources, buildings, land, and monuments. Extending recreation centers to encompass public and children activities. Continuing to maintain, upgrade existing open space, parks, and resources. Look for expansion of those resources. Improve connectivity with trails. Again, this one was emphasizing Doheny Village again, and maybe even a larger bridge across with like landscape on the bridge, not just a pedestrian bridge. Parks in Doheny Village, there aren't any right now, and it'd be nice to see some. Maintain and continue to enhance coastal access. Again, that's related to trails and bikes and sidewalks. More sidewalk enhancements, increase sports and field activities, pickleball again. Access to natural resources, continue that. There was a lot of people happy with a lot of the parks and existing parks and open spaces in town. And canyon areas, use more access and open space to those canyon areas if possible. Add more shade trees, not palm trees, native and Mediterranean landscape varieties and native plants. Murals on buildings would be good to see more of those on blank buildings, and more pickleball conversation and bike and ped facilities. So there you go.
In relation to circulation, thank you everyone for your comments. We did hear that attendees would like to see increased access to electrical vehicle and bicycle charging stations. Also, there's an overarching goal, make Dana Point the most bike-friendly city in Orange County. If electrical vehicle stations are provided this is specifically for businesses, there's this concern to be able to maintain their parking count. So that's one idea. Via California to incorporate speed bumps, also via Sacramento and Camino Capistrano intersection safety concerns, because Coast Highway being too narrow, scary to drive there in rush hours, incorporating different modes of transportation and incorporating dedicated safe bike lanes. And the idea of a year-round city shuttle, more OCTA bus lines, and make them more frequent. There's also, there were some comments about incorporating traffic calming, bike lanes, and more safety. There was an example reference of La Cresta and the incorporation of road diets, and curb pop-outs, and overall increasing safe circulation for people riding bikes and incorporating pathways to parks and to beaches. And as far as public facilities, we heard the interest in poles and lines to being underground throughout the city, and also the increasing recreation facilities and increasing spaces for community groups to meet and to support services and facilities that support young families. And there was an idea of providing a parking lot for visitors to not take away from the residents' parking for people who come to the different tourist destinations. And that idea was for it to be supported by a shuttle service. Also, more variety of different providers for cable and internet services in residential areas. And hearing more about more facilities for meetings, for community group meetings, and also the idea of a repair station for bikes and a skateboard park. And yeah, pickleball, yes. Baseball, pickleball, not just pickleball, baseball, soccer fields, modern looking, nice facilities for those, but thank you.
Wrapping up with station number 5, it is the housing and public safety element. So these two elements were updated last year by the City Council, but we want to keep these two topics in the conversation as we plan for the long term. So some of the issues related to housing in Dana Point, we heard that we don't want a city of apartments and that home ownership would be preferred. Affordability is an issue, but we also want to maintain the value in our homes. There's different perspectives on short-term rentals, and so we heard a lot of no Airbnb, and we heard yes Airbnb. There was a question, what happened to Cape Cod style? High density is not desirable, but is also desirable for the tax base. No high rise. It's already built out. The city's already built out. Protect our views. There's a need for parking in our residential neighborhoods. Then we asked what types of housing that we believe are needed. And so there's low-income housing, senior housing, cleaning up existing multifamily neighborhoods and areas of blight to connect with the South Orange County Equity Collaboration. We need a place for young people, and we want housing that's walkable. We also want more single-family homes and also mixed use. And the question was, well, where do we want to see that? And it's tough because we are already built out. And so for mixed use, we want to see that happen in shopping centers in Doheny Village. We want to redevelop existing properties and convert existing units to affordable, which was a really interesting topic. There was also the sentiment of no more housing, but we do want more families. For public safety, some of the issues that were areas of concern pollution from the harbor, the effects of development, overhead power lines, and the need for undergrounding. We have concerns about the nuclear plant and the decommissioning process, the bluff lookouts and erosion impacts to those access points, the loss of Capo Beach and sea level rise and those impacts. Also, a desire for more CERT training, which results in community building and working together in times of crisis. Also identifying multiple meeting places for emergencies throughout town where we know resources available, have education, supplies, and expanding the CERT program to facilitate that. Also offering e-bike rebates for training and safety purposes. So those are some of the ideas and areas of concern for public safety. So I'll turn it back over to Diane.
You're welcome to head out, or if you have any other questions, we're going to be here for a bit. So appreciate it. Thanks for your participation.